This is Meria, Scholar of Antiquity, and this is what my friends hated.
Don't look behind door number 2, Monty. It's time to play End of the Line, my Valentine.
So this is Meria, Scholar of Antiquity, from Dominaria, from 2022. Remember that year? Wow, that was a strange year, wasn't it? Anyway, she has two very in-character abilities for a red and green card, and I thought it was really neat they put them both in one place. So her first ability is a very, very green ability. You let you tap an untapped non-token artifact you control to add a green. Note, this is not conferring to those cards the ability to tap, it's that she taps them, which means you can tap artifact creatures you just play for mana, which, yeah, it's kind of a weird no summoning sickness. It's strange, but it's really cool. And her second ability is a very, very red ability. Lets you tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control to exile the top card of your library you can play at this turn. Now, there's been quite a few red cards that do that in the last little while. And you're going to see why this gets to be kind of fun with this dumb deck I've built. So as of this video, there are 6 artifacts left in the game that actually care about whether or not they're untapped. That said, the only one of them actually playing is Howling Mine. I took Genesis Chamber out because it didn't do much. 3 of the cards are prison cards. I'm trying to play red-green prison in Commander. Not a really great idea. Yeah, it worked good for Lodestone Golem. Not so much when you only get one of everything. And then when it comes to things like her second ability, where you have to play cards off the top of your library, yes, there are a good number of green cards that let you keep track of what's going on the top of your library. That said, I'm trying to concentrate on using artifacts. Divining Top lets you take a look and maybe swap out the top card of your deck. Mystic Forge lets you look at any time. And then Lifecrafter's Bestiary lets you scry during your upkeep. Now, yeah, those guys on the side, it's all good cards. Don't quite fit in here. I had Lens of Clarity, but it just, it doesn't do anything else. Like, I can tap it for a green, that's nice, with top card of library. It just doesn't really do anything else. And I took it out because it was kind of dull. So what did make it in? Well, it became most of a best of cards I could think of. It's got 4 different life gainers. Dolmen Gate, so my attackers don't take damage. Spawning Pit lets me sack stuff. Cloud Key brings down costs. Golem Foundry will get me more creatures as we go along. Unwinding Clock because it untaps all your stuff every turn. And then a handful of cards to help stop me from getting the beat down I'm going to attract as the deck starts to fire. And you're like, Dub, what do you mean life gain artifacts? Urza Chalice, Golem's Heart, Worm's Tooth, and Scrap Heap all do a fair bit of work in here, and they all still have that ability to tap for green. They still work if they're tapped, they don't care. On the other side, Crawlspace limits the number of creatures that can attack you. General's Regalia lets you pay 3 to redirect any damage you would take to a creature you control, so you don't have to worry about getting commander beats. And then yes, there's a force field on the screen. I've been playing this game for 30 years. I have 2 force fields. I traded for one a very long time ago and bought the other shortly thereafter when it was like a $70 card. Trust me, I've played them as often as I can because of the decks I play seem to attract an awful lot of hostility. And now we're at that part where it's like, Dub, you're making all this mana, what are you doing with it? Well, creatures, for one. I got a bunch of low-end creatures. The ever-popular Brass Man. Haywire Mite is a neat card. I'm really turned on by that one. It's a neat little guy. The rest are mostly combat. Topping out at the very top with a Walking Ballista and a Hangarback Walker. And, oh yeah, by the way, I still consider Batterskull to be a creature, even though it's equipment, because it comes into play with a Germ. And Lizard Blades and Komainu Battle Armor are creatures as well as the ability to become equipment. So I kind of count them in that slot too. Speaking of equipment, I've got a bunch of it. 4 things to give flying. Swiftfoot Boots for the haste and hexproof. 2 cards to go get land. Lockstone Warhammer and Basilisk Collar for life gain. And then like those 3 guys hanging off the side. And the neat thing is, equipment doesn't care if it's tapped or not. It still works. You can equip tapped equipment. You can tap equipped equipment. Thus, as long as these things are on the board, they still count as things that can give you green mana and can let you play the top card of your library. So, equipment does stuff. And now it just does even more. And then there's a handful of non-artifact cards that are thrown in just to help do other things. Goblin Welder helps get stuff back from your graveyard. Svella Ice Shaper lets you look at the top 4 cards of your library and cast one of them. So it's not quite a Howling Mine, but it'll get you more cards. Eruzi's Brigade should be a 8/8 trample for the duration of its time in play. And that trample is really important because you want to get through things. And for absolute hilarity value, I threw in a Hellkite Tyrant. I've also managed to not throw in any way to put it out except to hardcast it on my turn. I've played this deck 6 times. It's come out 4 and has not lived to see the end of my turn once. It does a great job of drawing fire that would be used on other cards. Pia's Revolution is a wonderful bit where people have to pay life to stop you from getting artifacts back out of your graveyard. And Duretti is not only just a card drawing engine, but can really help you when it comes to making sure your stuff doesn't stay dead for very long. Once you've got the emblem out, at the end of any turn, you get back into play any artifact that went to your graveyard. Remember, there's a spawning pit and an extruder in this deck. The first time I played it, I managed to pop Duretti's emblem with an extruder out, and then every turn sacrifice absolutely everything except a walking Ballista, and everyone kind of realized that it was going to be game over very quickly. And then there's a handful of other cards that I play mostly as commander staples. You can see them, the deck list will be pinned down in the description there. They're not really, it just happen to be cards I like to play. The entire deck is cards that you want to play. I'll put it that way. If anything you don't like that I added, that's fine. Like, you can play a ton of stuff that costs like 1 and just fly through your deck. How they put these 2 abilities on 1 card, I thought that was kind of funny. And the moment I saw this card, I had to play it. It was a lot of fun. But thanks for sticking around. I'm trying to get back into the recording thing. It's been freaking cold all winter. My furnace kicks in about every 5 friggin' minutes, so it's really hard to record. You should be able to hear it now. Hopefully the weather will change and I can record without that stupid noise in the background. Anyway, I will see you in the future.